Hello, my name is Sam Floor, and I'm the National History Coordinator for the state of Virginia. Welcome to the updated Help! I'm a new NHD teacher videos. In this series, we aim to break down the basic steps of an NHD project in order to make your first year successful and less stressful. Today, I'm going to discuss how to help your students pick an appropriate History Day topic, and then how to get started on the most important phase of an NHD project, research. All digital resources I mentioned will be linked in the comments below. Before your students can start researching, they need to figure out what to research. One of the great things about NHD is that there are virtually no limits as to the type of topic students can choose from. Students can choose local, state, or U.S. history, but also ancient and world history. Some topics can range from military history to sports history to technological discoveries and anywhere in between. We want students to pick a topic they are interested in to ensure they are passionate about the work and, most of all, are having fun while doing it. While we want students to have a voice in the topic selection process, that does not mean you as the teacher don't have the final say. It's your classroom, so set whatever parameters you might deem appropriate. Many teachers set parameters based off the curriculum they will be introducing in the classroom. For instance, tell your students they must pick a topic related to the 20th century, or you could tell them to focus on the history of your state. Once you have set your parameters, make sure the topic your students choose will make for a compelling project. We often call this choosing a right size of a topic. The topic shouldn't be too big, where a clear thesis will be difficult to articulate, or too narrow, where the historical significance of an event will be difficult to prove. For instance, the civil rights movement is much too big of a topic. Instead, suggest your students examine a particular event, person, or organization that made an impact on the movement and connects to the NHD theme. Similarly, when choosing to study a single person or event, make sure the student can articulate why that person or event is significant. If they find themselves struggling to do so, have them zoom out a bit and look at a slightly bigger picture. A good topic should be small enough where a clear thesis or argument can be made, but large enough where its historical significance is clear. To ensure their topic is strong, have your students conduct some basic research into their topic and then convince you that it is worth studying. To do so, encourage them to take what they have found from their introductory research and craft a preliminary thesis statement or argument. This does not have to be the same thesis statement that they include on their final project, but it will provide a solid foundation for them as they explore their topic in more detail. Once your students have picked a right-sized topic, they should move on to the most important phase of the History Day process, research. Ideally, students should spend the majority of their NHD time on this part of the project. When starting this process, it is key to not just throw your students into the research deep end. First, make sure to equip them with the tools they will need to make the most out of their discoveries. Introduce or review note-taking strategies. Cornell Notes are a tried and true classic. Also, NHD has a relationship with Noodle Tools, an easy-to-use digital note-taking service, so maybe check that out. If nothing else, set up a Google Drive where students must submit their latest discoveries and notes. It is very important to keep track of your students' work. That way they don't fall behind or get stuck in the research mud. It will also be important to work on primary source analysis with your students. Since NHD is a historical research project, we want students to discover as many primary sources as possible. There's no set number of sources required for NHD, but the more the merrier. Now, when it comes to where students are doing their research, encourage them to investigate multiple databases and resource types. Naturally, digital resources like the Library of Congress and National Archive websites will be easy to use. But if possible, encourage your students to visit a local library or museum. Also, don't feel like you have to tackle this all on your own. Work with your school's library staff to set up a library research day, or reach out to a local historical institution and ask them if they have any resources that might help guide your students in the right direction. NHD has a list of partner institutions on its website that can be a great place for your students to get started with their research. Now, do you have any questions? Check out NHD's website for more details or contact your local NHD coordinator. Contact information can also be found on the NHD website. Now that you know the basics about getting your students started, with their projects. My next video will discuss tips for putting a student's research together into a final project form. So thanks for tuning in, and as always, happy History Day.